Watashi wa Misa Misa, and I am going to talk about the gorgeous art of corpse husband. One of the things I talked about in one of my other YouTube channels, which you can definitely check out, I'm leaving them as clues so that you can see just how vast some of our different artistic identities are. This one says fuck love, and you can see the left eye has an X on this cross. Fuck love is not something neither corpse husband and I stand with, but one of the things that we are talking about in this song is how these human traffickers who pretend to be him and I sometimes have come in and tried to rape us and pretend to, be us and dement us as identities. Meaning they've been like, I'm Misa, she's a fake whore, and then they try to push us into amnesiatic psychosis. And then another thing that happens to me is people have come up to me and said, I'm the real L, just so you know. And I'm like, what? What'd you say? So anyway, the story is a couple of these individuals who raped us hurt him. And one of the things I talked about in my last video is how I had my eyeball on my right eyeball taken out when I was raped. He had his left eyeball taken out. This was to dement him and I as lovers. They said it was oppositions and adorable, but they still hurt us. And so we said, if I was supposed to be loving someone like you, fuck love, because love is not that to me. So essentially, the story goes of Corpse Husband. This title came from various things. One of the things that we are is street warriors. As you can see here, this is the trenches. As you walk on the alleyways, you must remember there is danger everywhere, and this house is one of them. Now, this is freedom of speech in America. I am legally allowed to talk about the fact milk thistle grows here, and this place will give me small cuts and injuries. This will help me in a bind. And literally speaking, I do fear this house like that, because people are like that. So as I walk through the trenches or the back alleys, this is where my mind wanders for Corpse Husband. The story goes, he as a man said that by the time he got to be my husband, he'd be a corpse. But I sat here and made it a lovely story. You see, one of the things I explained about my story is I was a ghost. Prior to my birth, I was known as Matrix to everyone, leader of the shogunate. And this is who my identity was. It wasn't until the 80s, more 90s, that I became Noodle. And I became Noodle thanks to my guitar playing. Excuse me. And so, when I was Misa, or during my origin of my name being Misa, it was more of a conversation of, how do I explain it? Me wanting to treat my husband with respect, because he hasn't had a lot of it. And now all I can do is things like this to attempt to keep him safe. And back in the day, I was struggling with my husband going through identity disorder because he was framed for murders he did not do while killing human traffickers. And when he was killing human traffickers, he did it in gory manners. But I support him doing this due to the degree of heinous abuse that they caused. My husband sat here and he cried for many days at the disheveled ruins of people's lives, because some people did not know that these human traffickers were so horrible. We had one mother contact us who was crying about her husband missing, screamed at him and called him a killer. And all we could find out later on, this very woman, she had been human trafficking her child. Her daughter was used as a prostitute and left around to be leading people through the ruins of human trafficking. And during this time, I explained to Kira, your name is L. It stands for leader. I gave you this name. I did not give you the name killer. You are not a killer, Kira. He then cried for many days and said, you don't know me, Misa. You do not know me. And this is how his identity disorder had been caused. And when you think about what I had showed you in the trenches, the alleyways, of life, one of the things that I think about that makes me sick, my stomach turn, is the fact that my husband did not know how to explain. People were pretending to be me and abusing him. And I didn't know how to explain they were doing the same to me. These people have done heinous things to us. But we must not let houses like these gloom our mind with doom. For we are intelligent and capable people who must remember when it rains, simply it is giving water to the soil to give earth life and sprouting of life plants. And when it becomes cloudy like this, it gives us shade. The sun still breaks through the clouds. We must be that sun that breaks through the clouds so we can continue giving life, not be depressed at the dark and gloomy clouds above.